Thank you guys for joining me today on Instinctive Addiction Archery. I'm Jeff Phillips. Got a cool one here for you today, and I guess as you notice, I'm in a tree stand, right? I've got a tree stand in my yard. All right, so I was at the farm this whole last week setting stands for the upcoming hunting season. We're only a couple of weeks away. And it just dawned on me that, okay, most guys do like I do most of the time. They just practice from level ground. They shoot standing in the yard, shooting at a target, and they don't shoot from an elevated position, okay? Guys, let me tell you, from hunting experience, it's a complete different world, okay? So if you plan on climbing any kind of stand, a ladder stand, a lock-on, hunting out of a saddle, a climbing stand, whatever your choice is, let me tell you guys, you better figure out a way to practice shooting your traditional bow out of a tree stand and making the shot, because it is different. And I've just set my targets up. I just hung this stand. I just finished hanging this thing. It's a basic ladder stand that I pulled off the farm. Put it in a tree here, and I've got my safety harness hooked up. I've got all of my camera stuff hooked up. I've got my bow hanger, my quiver hanger, everything just like I would be hunting, right? Same exact situation as it would be in the woods, okay? So I have got, let's just say, a deer target I've got out here at 15 yards, because, you know, a 15-yard shot is kind of going to be expected during, especially early season. It is. Some of them's going to be a lot closer, and I'm going to move this thing closer, and I'm going to demonstrate how you shoot a really close shot, which is even way more difficult than if it's out further, okay? But shooting out of a stand in general is night and day different, guys. Night and day different. What I find is the most common issue that happens is short drawing. When you're in an angle, you tend to want to short draw your bow, okay? Which throws all of your arrow tuning out the window. Everything you've worked on all year long is out the window. If you don't come to full anchor, you may need to cant the bow depending on what position the deer's in and what you have to do and where the limbs are and all that good stuff. But it's different, guys. It's completely different. So I'm fixing to load up an arrow in my longbow, and I'm gonna shoot cold shot. No practice. I have not shot out of a tree all year long, and just see if naturally, if I'm off, if I shoot high, if I shoot under this thing, what I do. And I have had no practice this morning. I have not touched the bow other than to walk up here, climb the stand, hang it on the hanger. That's it, guys. So it is what it is, okay? I bring it real. I bring it real. I need this practice, okay? And you can bet that I will be out here every evening shooting out of this stand, because I typically don't hunt on the ground unless I'm in a blind in later season. Earlier season, I'm in a tree, and that's how I need to practice, okay? So I'm gonna glove up, and I'm gonna let one fly. See what happens. See if this was a real opportunity here at this deer. What I hit where I need to hit, okay? Also, looking at the anatomy of a deer, if you'll notice, the anatomy of a deer is different out of a tree. Your arrow is in an angle. It's angling down, and what you need to keep in mind is where you want your arrow to exit, okay? That's where you need to think about, where you want to exit. Naturally, a deer is probably going to drop. I've almost never shot at one, even with the quietest of bows, that did not try to duck the arrow, okay? Duck and turn and get out of the way. They hear it coming, they react, it's gonna happen. So you've got to focus on the lower 1/3 of a live animal. You do. So my intention when I generally try to shoot these targets is to not hit high, okay? A high hit's not gonna do you any good whatsoever. Even if you're shooting your targets and you're tending kind of on the low side, that's okay, because the deer is going to react. But in general, shooting from an elevated stand is so different from shooting on the ground. It's crazy. So you've really got to focus. You've really got to pick your spot, follow that leg up, pick your spot and shoot. I'm gonna see if I can do it. Grab the old longbow. And I loaded the quiver up just like I would be shooting with a loaded quiver. That's how I shoot. And this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun, guys. All right. It's even different shooting with a safety vest on. When you're really not used to it, it's completely different. Everything is different than standing out in the yard with a t-shirt on. And you really need to have hunting clothes on. Later in the year, it's good to practice with lots of clothes on. I can see now, if that deer is in that position, that this bow's got to be canted. It's kind of coming into my leg. So between the rail of the stand, I could shoot vertical. And that knocks a little bit loose on my string there. I'm glad I saw that. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna need to cant the bow. I'm gonna have to pretty much cant this bow a good bit and lean out to make this shot right here. All right. That's a kill shot. That, my friend, was a kill shot. If I had to pick a spot where I'd really want to hit that deer, and that's shooting cold, I'm proud. That's where I would want to have hit that deer. Exactly. No higher at all. I mean, that would have taken everything out. If that deer did not react, if it didn't, I would have gotten lower lung and a heart. I would have taken the heart out of that deer, and it would have exited right out that low side, good blood trail. Had it ducked, I still would have got a double lung shot on that deer. I would have. And that's 15 yards, okay? And all I did, guys, is I had this bow severely canted because I had to really, really cant this bow over. I just focused on my spot. I looked up that leg and I just focused on the spot. That's all I did. Okay, I shot a little higher that time. Still, that was dead center, great. If the deer didn't severely react, that still would have been a really good lung shot. Shoot again, and boy, this is different. It's complete, everything feels different. It feels different in my shoulders. Nothing is the same as shooting in the yard. Nothing. Completely different. Another one right by that one. That's where I really would want to hit a deer. And all I did was kind of focus. I focused kind of low. Because it's kind of like, if you ever notice, I don't know if you guys have ever bow fished or not. I used to bow fish all the time. You shoot a carp or a buffalo in the water, the angle from the water, if you ever look at it, when you stick something underwater, it looks like it bends. There's a crazy angle. When you shoot a fish with a bow, out of a boat or wading or whatever, you have to actually aim under it to hit it, right? You really do. It's kind of the same concept shooting out of a tree. You focus low in every situation. You really do, unless it's way out. Now, I'm gonna shoot at this bear one time. That bear out there, it's, oh gosh, it's at least 22 yards, something like that. It's a little further. I'll just kind of see what happens with this scenario. There it is. Same spot I hit that deer. Same spot. So really I didn't notice any difference. I really didn't notice any real difference between the shorter shot. But what's going to really tell is when I move this thing up really close and I really have to get down, and that's what I'm going to do to demonstrate that. Okay, they're touching same spot. That's where you'd want to on a deer. And I know that's a bear, and a bear typically don't duck, and I don't bear hunt. But I'm treating it like a bear, like a deer target, okay? I do not want to hit high. I want no part of a high hit, because all you're gonna do is lose the animal. You're just not gonna get it, okay? You're not gonna get a blood trail. Probably not gonna get in the boiler. You don't want to hit high. Whatever you do, you don't want to hit high, guys. You just don't. That's it. So focus low. All right, so I'm gonna get down and I'm gonna move Doreen right here close. real close. Whereas if that's a shot and I had to really severely cant the bow and really bend down, and I like to bend down at the waist. When you're shooting out of a tree, you want to bend at the waist. You want to set your safety belt where you can just bend at your waist and make that happen, okay? You don't want to bend your knees or anything, just your waist. Lean out to get the bow away from everything where you can come into a good draw and focus and shoot, okay? So I'm gonna move Doreen over here, and I'm gonna see if I can still hit it in the golden spot without shooting high at a really close shot. Let's just say that 7-8 yard shot, which you're going to get a lot of, okay? All right, guys, be right back. All right, guys, here it is. This is, I'm gonna call this a 7 yard shot. 7 yards. It's gonna be a common shot, that's for sure. Very common shot. And very tough. Because it's awkward. It's different. Very different. All right. And you need to practice stealth. Practice being stealthy, like you would do in a tree stand in a real hunting situation. You got to practice like you're hunting, guys. Same way. Notice the cant. I can't shoot this way. I have to really cant this bow. Really cant it out of the way of my legs to make this shot and lean out. That's why I got my safety belt maxed right there. Perfect. That's a dead deer. That is 1000% DOA. That's what you want. All I did was just focused, come into my draw slow, because you got to draw slow when a deer are looking for movement everywhere, and you got to practice that slow, smooth draw and focus on that spot and bust them. That's what you got to do, man. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's what I'm talking about, guys. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You got to practice like you're gonna hunt. I mean, you really do. You can't expect to just shoot in the yard all the time and do the same thing over and over and then go do something completely different. Like get in a tree stand and shooting your traditional bow. And it doesn't matter if it's a recurve or a longbow or what, it's all the same. You can't expect for the same results to happen, because you're going to be thrown off bad. Really bad if you don't practice it. And I understand if you don't have a tree in your yard. Lots of people don't. Lots of people don't have private land. But I'll guarantee you there is somewhere that you can take your climber. If you're mobile, if you're a public land hunter, like I do 99% of the time, I have a really nice place to hunt. But I really only hunted pretty much early season. Most of my season is spent on public land. And that's where I got my biggest deer. And I always have. I mean, most every big deer I've ever killed's been on public. And you know, lots of them that were not super big at all by any means, but I was proud of them because I killed them on public land. And there's that challenge, okay? It's taking up the challenge. Just like I did last year, I hit it really hardcore, and I carry a lone wolf climber. They're out of business now, but there's lots of them just like them now. You know, everybody has replacements pretty much, but now they have specialty gear, and they do still, I say they're out of business, they're not out of business, they've just basically went to custom gear. Okay, they have went to custom gear, and they're great. Terribly expensive, but great. But I do have one of the original stands, and I love it. And I'm thinking about actually buying one of the new ones that's close, you know, just because I really can't get anything for the old one. But I like to hunt out of a climber. That's pretty much it. I love hunting climbing stands. That's what I enjoy. I've hunted out of saddles, I like it okay, but I like my climber better. And lock-ons and things, I just like them better. But then again, there's always going to be that tree that you can't really climb with a climber, that you're going to have to go the saddle route. Okay, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're doing. When you get off the ground, things change. Everything changes. Okay, now I've shot bows out of trees for years and years and years, so I kind of know what to do. But I promise you, if you haven't, you're probably going to be shocked when you make your first couple of shots. You probably will. You're going to be like, oh my God, I cannot believe it's just different, okay? Because it is, guys. It's so different. So anyway, thank you for joining me on Instinctive Addiction Archery. I'm Jeff Phillips. I love you guys so much, and I hope you've learned something from this. So do yourself a favor, get to practicing from an elevated position. I don't care if you have to climb on top of your house. Do whatever you got to do to get off the ground and get some elevation going in practice. That's what you got to do, guys. Thank you, and God bless.